Everybody, sorry I meant to start this sooner, but we're going to conference right now, so we had to come. I'm at a front runner station right now, and we're about to head downtown, and I'm with Natalie. I've known her for a while. She's been watching my channel for, I don't know,
couple years, yeah.
Like, do you remember which video was the first one?
I don't. I'm really bad at remembering details.
It feels like it's been the better part of like the whole 3 years.
Yeah.
So, well, first of all, what were your impressions, or what did you notice?
I really noticed the theme of hope so far. Having hope and choosing positivity, which I think is really important right now.
Yeah.
Everything's so negative.
So that was Elder Anderson, and he actually was talking about hope at one point in the context of tribulation. You know, we're about to, I think, go through a pretty rough time with like these elections and what's going on in the world, in Ukraine, and also in Israel, and who knows what else, you know, maybe economically. So anyway, I have some more stuff. This is going to be a short stream because we're waiting for the train, but let me see who's here. Meldalin, I'm guessing he'll do like the last conference and have a pre-recorded talk. Not expecting him to actually be there. Oh yeah, with President Nelson. Yeah, most likely. We didn't catch President Holland or President Oak's talk. Like, that's when we had to leave for the train station. So if we missed something, will you let me know in the chat?
We need to know.
Yeah.
Anything important.
That's one that I definitely wanted to see. But there was another part where Elder Anderson was talking about like the point where Moroni was alone because, you know, the Nephites had become wicked and they were destroyed, and I felt like that was kind of like a metaphor for us, how as the days go on, there's just going to be more and more persecution, and you're probably going to find yourself more and more alone with just the rising darkness all over the world. Let's see, Tamara Belcher on Alaska's Texas here, and yes, I noticed that no one has been announced as presiding. Is that right, or did they say that?
I thought I heard that President Nelson was presiding from
what?
home.
You say?
I thought I heard that President Nelson was presiding from home.
Well, I know that he mentioned that he was at home, but okay.
No, I don't remember.
I could be wrong.
Brandon Forbush, I absolutely had a feeling President Oaks was going to talk on avoiding contention and being peacemakers. 8 Dreamers Farm, I prayed so hard for a friend of mine whose church believes in infant baptism, which she doesn't agree with, but she doesn't understand the authority factor. There was a perfect talk that was dynamite.
Yeah,
yep.
I remember that talk. That was a really good talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And then both me and Natalie, we talked about this with Emily Bell Freeman's talk, how she was talking about, I like that part where she was like, your identities or your potential identity first as a daughter of God, and then elect lady, and then after that queen. That like really stood out.
Yeah, that progression. Just the imagery in my mind as well of like this teeny little woman, Emma Smith, becoming who she needed to be. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. And I thought that was interesting. You know, she brought up President Nelson's invitation to sisters in the church to read Doctrine and Covenants 25. I had actually forgotten about that, but that was on my radar. And in her talk, she brought up angels, you know, a couple times. She talked about the ministering of angels, and then just angels in general, like when it comes to drawing upon the power of God. And again, for me anyway, like that was a big theme of the last conference. They were really talking about angels and stressing angels. She had brought up, you know, wearing the temple garment. That's obviously a big thing right now. Sarah Mandeli's here. Make sure to subscribe to her. I am friends with Sarah, and I'll probably be doing an interview with her sometime in the near future. And Sarah says, oh yes, I noticed the ministering of angels too. Yeah, she repeated that a couple times, talking about angels. Let's see, what else was there? Oh yeah, okay, Elder Anderson's talk. Okay, so this was the first talk of conference. He brought up the eclipse, not like the actual eclipse, but he used the term eclipse as in some people allow Christ, the sun, to be eclipsed, you know, by darkness. I can't remember exactly how he said it. But it was something like that.
You know, one thing that I thought was actually really cool about Elder Anderson's talk is that he talked about his nephew's son, Trey, and how he passed on the other side, but he really, really wanted to be a missionary. And he didn't say this, but to me, that was so striking because Trey is a missionary now. He gets to have his wish, and he gets to do it with a heart that is healthy, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I do too. Especially in light of the spreadsheet that I've been keeping about visions and visitations. There's, I think, at least a couple times where you have accounts of people that have been called to the other side of the veil to fulfill some kind of responsibility over there, which probably would have mostly had to do with missionary work and the work of salvation on the other side of the veil. Life is here. Hello, Life. Let's see. Lapicola Nadina. I also found that there was an overall focus on joy despite of our circumstances. Yeah, I don't know. I think the world is pretty dark right now. A lot of people are scared, nervous, especially if you don't have the gospel. And it's probably just going to get crazier. I've talked about the fact that this has been a really interesting, really crazy year. So many things have happened, things that I never would have expected. And it just, it doesn't seem like there's any brakes to this train. It just keeps getting crazier and crazier. Let me fix my hair right here if I can. That might have to wait for later. So yeah, we need to have hope. We need to know where we can find true protection, which is in our covenants and living the gospel, and know how things are going to go. That it's going to go well for the righteous. It's not going to go well for the wicked. So just make sure that you're living within your covenants. But yeah, the conference started out with hope, and then there's that part like invoking the imagery of, the eclipse, which is interesting because again, we just had this recent eclipse, and it was the day before the new Jewish year started, the day before Rosh Hashanah, and in Israel it was happening like about the same time that it was sundown in Israel. So that's just kind of interesting, and I've done videos about that. I feel like it kind of goes along with the eclipse that happened earlier this year. And this eclipse that just happened is just a few days before General Conference, and the one earlier this year was the day after General Conference. And that was the eclipse where the path of totality went over the Kirtland Temple. I always have to mention that because that blows my mind. Okay.
Just running a bit behind.
Let's see.
Oh, there was that one part that I really, really liked where they talked about Christ is already waiting for you in your darkest moments.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was such a cool note because sometimes you do feel like you're alone in the dark, but knowing that as you're kind of on your way into that darkness, he's already there waiting for you.
Yeah. And you may have kind of like talked about that because one reason why we're in contact is because you've always been like a really good subscriber. I've always appreciated your comments. But then on top of that, like it turned out that, was it 2 years ago you found out?
Yeah, 2022, I found a lump and found out that I have stage 4 breast cancer, and I was 33 when I found out. So
yeah, and initially
the prognosis was not good. They basically said, optimistically, with treatment, you have 5 to 6 years. And I just said to them, the Lord promised miracles, and that we're to seek after miracles, and that's what I'm expecting. And as of April this year, I am in remission. There's no evidence of disease. They've done 2 scans so far. Both of them say no evidence of disease. And my oncologist actually said to me, this is a miracle. This doesn't happen. So the Lord is good.
And when you found that out, like looking back, like after what we just heard in conference, do you feel like the Lord was already there, like waiting for you?
Yeah, even in the moments when I felt all alone, seeing his hand as you look back at all of the stuff, seeing his hand and where it was and the miracles that he's created has been a blessing in hindsight.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm glad that she's here with us, but it's so great to be able to actually like meet her. We weren't planning on coming here for conference. I got invited to a Scripture Central thing, and I was already going to something later this month, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're trying to move to Missouri next year. We have all this stuff. We have to like fix up the house and prepare for, and like save up money for the move. But like I felt like we should come here, and so far it's been really good. All right, it looks like the train's coming, so I'm gonna let you guys go. But I do plan on doing live streams after each session. And if you're going to conference, like I'll be somewhere on Temple Square, so you can look for me. I'll either be like on Temple Square proper, or possibly the Main Street Plaza or the church office building area. So whatever, I hope I see you there, and I'll talk to you guys later.